Hi guys, welcome to this edition of Coping Skills 101. These aren't scripted, so I just go through things and different things that I think of that help me and can help you too. Worst thing that we can do is nothing. If this doesn't work for you, try this. If that doesn't work, try something else. The only time that you fail is when you quit trying. How's that for some words? Okay. Working on a adult psych unit in a hospital, I've seen a lot of people coming in that are suicidal attempts, suicidal ideation. A lot more than I used to. Yeah, we do get the amount of chemical dependent people that are trying to dry out or just wanting to dry out so that they can go out and do some more. Those are the ones that I have problems with. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. We're not going to get into that. I share a lot of things from different venues, from websites, books, things I've learned over the years from other patients sometimes can help. And first and foremost, I've got to tell you, we need to be grounded. And what is grounding? It's getting ourselves centered in the world and ourselves centered within us. Have you ever seen an old person that when they get up, they're like, hold on, I got to get my bearings? Well, they're grounding, so to speak. And it helps your energy flow and helps you through a lot of things. I'm not talking mystical or anything like that. The gravity holds us down on the world. You know that. Without gravity, we'd fly off. We wouldn't be here. So, and through our daily lives, we work against gravity, and sometimes you have to work with it. And how do you do that? Is by being grounded. First thing you want to do is you want to stand up. And stand as tall as you can. Now, if you've got curvature of the spine, if you're like me, I'm a sloucher. So I sit more like this. You need to ground yourself by having your back as straight as you can. If you've got like curvature of the spine, don't try and straighten it out. You want to put your feet shoulder length apart. You can have them pointed out a little bit if you need to, just to help balance, because being balanced helps you. And you want to stand as tall as you can with your head like you're trying to touch the top of your head to the ceiling. Now, I don't mean go like this. You want to be as straight as you can. It's really great if you can be outside in nature with your feet, bare feet, against the ground, against the earth. And you close your eyes and you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, you might feel a little wobbly, like whoa, whoa, and that's part of where you use your feet to steady yourself, to balance, to stand as tall as you can, and try and touch the ceiling, to stretch your whole body like you're trying to go, like there's a stick on the top of your head going through to the ground, and you're there. And it helps steady. You can literally feel the gravity energy coming through your legs. And you breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And once you do that, you can feel the earth, the gravity pulling through. It makes it feel really good. But that's grounding. You want to do it for about 5 minutes. I'm not going to do that today because that would just take too long. So that's grounding. That's number one issue. We're too unfocused. Oh, that makes me feel so good. Try it out. It may take some time for you to get used to it. Anytime you try anything new, it takes some practice. Another thing that you can do is if you suffer from anxiety, it's called balancing. You can stand up and balance on one foot. If you can't stand up on one foot and that's too much trouble, you're not ready for it, it's because you're unbalanced, or just for physical capabilities, it may not be able to. So what you can do is in a chair, you just lift up on one hip with your feet up in the air, and you try and stay on that one hip without wanting to go back to it. That, by doing balancing, it balances your system and helps your body figure things out, and your anxiety level will go down. That's point one that we're going to try and add to. Now, with depression and anxiety, which I have more depression than I do anxiety, and coping with that depression, mine's more of a grief depression, which if you watched my other videos, you'll know where that comes from. But coping is really hard sometimes. Sometimes you just have to distract yourself. Get out of yourself sometimes. We get there so far that we just get stuck in the habit of thinking negative. Excuse me. There are plenty of videos online. There's plenty of websites. One of the things I want to talk about is whatever you're having, if it's grief, if it's depression, anxiety. I know everybody out there that's watching this has access to the internet. If you're on Facebook, find a group that is, I like using a closed group because you can go in and say whatever you want and not have to worry about Tom, Dick, or Harry reading everything you say and mother calling up and going, "What do you mean by this?" She won't see it unless she's part of the group herself. You may have to go through many different groups because some are more self-serving. There's going to be the pity party group, that kind of thing. Of, oh, you want to get in there and get support. And that's one of the best things I can tell you on that, is find you a group that works. Because a lot of times our family, friends will, oh, just get over it, it's okay. You know, don't think about that anymore. We're creatures of habit, and sometimes that's all that we can do with the depression and the anxiety is think about the depression and the anxiety. And it can be overwhelming, and when it does, it's taken our lives. One of the things that I do is meditation. There are many different meditation apps. There's YouTube that has plenty of meditation videos that you can go. If you have trouble going to sleep at night because of racing thoughts and your mind just keeps going on and on and on and it won't shut down, get a guided meditation where somebody is explaining to you and walking you through the meditation. And I'm going to tell you a story about meditation, how I got into it. Sort of a funny story. Excuse me. I was working at a community mental health center, and my supervisor said I needed to go over to the apartments and run a meditation group. I've never done a meditation before, you know. I'm always thinking of meditations of the sitting in a lotus position and you see all the comic sketches on meditation, so I was sort of taken aback when I was like, okay. So I went online. I had plenty of music to use, and I got some scripts, and I went over to the residents, and we went into a room, and I had like 8 individuals that participated in it, and we go into the room, and we turn the lights out, and we put some soft music on, and I would guide them through different meditations. Excuse me. And I found one that is amazing. It's called Kelly Howe, is her name. And it's Brain Sync, S-Y-N-C. I may have discussed this in an earlier video, but I'm giving you more information on it now. And It's some amazing. There's that one called the 7-Minute Meditation. It's free. It's downloadable. I recommend it highly. And we would do the meditations. After about 2 weeks, my supervisor said, well, what's the meditation for the day? And I was like, I think we're going to do Finding Our True Self today. And he was like, where's that at in the book? And I was like, book? Lo and behold, I made a mistake. I was supposed to be using the big book, because it was a chemical dependency dual diagnosis unit of chemical dependency and a mental issue. And I was supposed to be using the meditations in the back of the big book. I was like, oops. So I took the book over, and when I walked in, the group saw the book and was like, what's that for? And I told them. They're like, oh, no. I want to do the meditation. I was like, okay, well, we'll do that, but we have to do the meditation in the book. That's what they told me I need to do, so we'll do that. But we will go ahead and do the meditation. And I had one guy in particular, and yeah, I'm not politically correct. He was a cokehead. He was like 45. He'd been in and out of rehabs time and time again, but his rehabs were pretty much dry out so that he could go back out. He says, usually I go dry out. Within 2 weeks, I'm using again. So I'm just doing this. I want to try it and see if I can really put effort to this. And I told him, okay. So we did the meditations, and I actually made a copy of the meditation for him so he could have it anytime he needed it on the CD. And he was like, I just love these. These are helping me out so much. I was like, okay. Well, he graduated the program, and he left. 3 months later, he came back, and guess what? He was clean. He was dry. He told me that normally he could go 2 weeks is the most he's ever been dry before. Here it is 3 months later. So actually 5 months, because he was in the program for 2. He was like, I'm not using. He said, you lived in New Orleans, right? I said, yeah. He goes, did you put a hoodoo on me or what? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm clean. I'm like, okay. Well, tell me what you've been doing. And he says, well, when I first left, as you remember, I was pretty much using the headphones 24/7. Whenever the cravings would hit, I'd meditate. Cravings would hit, I would meditate. Slowly, the cravings slowed down and became less strong, and then came less and less. At first, I was meditating pretty much all day long. After a while, I noticed that I was meditating a little bit a day, to the point where now, if I get a craving, all I have to do is I don't even need the headphones anymore. I've got my mindset trained that I can get to that state of calm without using the meditation and going through it. And I was like, wow, okay. That's a testament that it really, really works if you put your effort. And he said he did. He said it took him a lot. But he said the cravings, because with cocaine, the physical addiction is pretty much over within 7 days. It's the psychological addiction that lasts so long. And he says, so I've trained myself psychologically to get to that point of not being there, of not having that craving anymore. And I may get one maybe once a week now. I was like, wow. So, it works. I pretty much will try just about anything once, and twice if I like it. But I don't know if it will work. Sometimes it will work for you, but it won't work for the next person. If you don't give it a try, it ain't gonna work. Someone, I don't know if I said this earlier, but if the only person that fails is when you stop trying. Find something that works for you. Meditation works great for me. It helps me out a lot. It helps center me, helps keep me focused, and get my positive attitude back. So, check out as many meditations as you can and different techniques. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to write me at comment below. And as you see, I'm going to be using a lot of different things, and if I remember and can find where I have it, I will give credit to where credit is due. There's a website called lonerwolf.com, and it's more of a spiritual journey, psychological spiritual journey to help better yourself. They have a lot of information that is fantastic. If you do use any of it, let them know that you heard it from me, because I've written them and told them I will be using some of their stuff and some of their guidelines. They have things like, here's one, and I don't want to just sit and read to you, so that's why I'm not going to right now go through all this. It's called How to Respect Yourself and Others. It's an amazing thing. Here's another one. This one is really good. It's called I Feel Empty. 3 Reasons Why Emptiness is Haunting You. These are different articles that they email. You can sign up for their email, and you get it all the time. You can check it out. Check out their website. They have it all archived. There's an amazing one on reaching out when you're feeling suicidal, when you're feeling depressed, and how to reach out, because we haven't been taught. I will cover that in a later episode. But do check it out. Now I am going to read a little story. Okay? 2 men, both seriously ill, occupied the same hospital room. One man was allowed to sit up in his bed for an hour afternoon to receive his daily medical treatment. His bed was next to the room's only window. The other man had to spend all of his time flat on his back. The men talked for hours on end. They spoke of their wives, families, their homes, their jobs, their involvement in the military service, and where they had been on vacation. Every afternoon, when the man in the bed by the window could sit up, he could pass time by describing to his roommate all the things that he could see outside the windows. The man in the other bed began to live for those 1-hour periods where his world would be broadened and enlivened by the description of the activity and the color of the world outside. The window overlooked a park with a beautiful lake. Ducks and swans played on the water while children sailed their model boats. Young lovers held hands and walked amidst flowers of every color of the rainbow. Grand old trees graced the landscape, and a fine view of the skyline could be seen in the distance. As the man described his view from the window, the exquisite detail, the man on the other side of the room would close his eyes and imagine the picturesque view. One warm afternoon, the man by the windows described a passing parade through the park. Although the man could not hear the band, he could see the parade in his mind's eye. As the gentleman tried by the window developed a detailed picture of his descriptive words. One morning the nurse arrived to bring water for their bath, only to find the lifeless body of the man by the window, who had died peacefully in his sleep. She was saddened, but called the hospital attendants to take the body away. As soon as it seemed appropriate, the other man asked if he could be moved by the window the next day. The nurse was happy to make the switch, and after making sure he was comfortable, she left the room. Slowly, painfully, he propped himself up on one elbow to take his first look outside. Finally, he would have his joy of seeing it for himself. He strained to slowly turn and look out the window beside the bed. To his surprise, the window faced a brick wall. The man called for the nurse and asked what could have compelled his deceased roommate to describe such wonderful things outside the window. The nurse responded to the man was blind and could not even see the wall. She said, "Perhaps he just wanted to encourage you." The moral of this story is there's a tremendous joy in making others happy, despite our own situations. Shared grief is half the sorrow, but happiness, when shared, is doubled. If you want to feel rich, but count all the things you have that money cannot buy, today is a gift. That is why it is called the present. With that, I will leave you. I will be doing another one later. Good luck and be well.